this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters?
Yeah.
What's yours?
Guess.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie. It was scary.
Well, the first one was, but the rest sucked.
So, you got a boyfriend?
Why? You want to ask me out on a date?
Maybe. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
What did you say?
Welcome to Citizen McCain. Happy Halloween. Do you like scary movies, Miranda?
Who doesn't? Oh my God.
Miranda and I love scary movies, and anyone who listens or consumes our content knows that we are obsessed with all things ghost, paranormal. Our patron saint of Citizen McCain, Annabelle, we have right here. We're obsessed with the Annabelle doll. And we are very excited to have a special Halloween episode today. Every once in a while, I call in favors from friends, and I just happen to have a good friend who is a very famous horror movie screenwriter. He writes other movies too, but he has a lot of success with horror movies. You guys may have seen a little movie called Black Phone 2 that's out now. He wrote. Very exciting. So my friend C. Robert Cargill, we call him Cargill like everybody does, is coming on. We're going to do a whole Halloween episode talking all about horror movies, favorite horror movies, everything paranormal and ghost related. And we want to hear from you. That's what's so great about 2A. We have an interactive show. If you have any paranormal or ghost stories ready, please raise your digital hand. We're going to want to talk about this and share it towards the end of the show. And don't be shy. This is a judgment-free zone. I have interviewed many different kinds of people, including a man who we believe was abducted by aliens. You can find that show someplace in our
Oh my
archives.
gosh, that was our first year. I loved that guy. He was so cool.
It was great and very compelling. It's a really
Yes.
legitimately compelling story. So I'm just saying this is a judgment-free zone. And Miranda and I will share our own paranormal experiences with you. If you are listening, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Citizen McCain YouTube. We're very grateful for everyone that's subscribing. That's how we keep the lights on, so to speak, in this place. So please keep subscribing and sharing. Before we get to Cargill really quick, do you want to do Mamdani housekeeping or do you want to share a paranormal story before
Is
he
there
gets off?
Mamdani housekeeping? I'm not aware of this. So we can go there.
So this is my own, just really quickly. We got a lot of pushback and a lot of heat from people who are very upset that I said that I would vote for Curtis Sliwa, who is the Republican running for mayor of New York instead of Andrew Cuomo. Miranda and I are very close friends with Janice
What?
Dean.
I'm
I know.
sorry.
Who is our friend who tragically lost her in-laws because of Andrew Cuomo. He put COVID positive patients in nursing home with her
This is
mother-in-law
well
and brother-in-law.
documented. This is not a
Yes.
conspiracy. We're not making this up. It's not anecdotal. This is facts.
He's testified in front of Congress about it. It's not a joke. When I lived in New York, I thought he was just a horrific governor. And during COVID, he did many things that made me very anxious and upset. I did not think he did a good job, despite the fact that people like Chelsea Handler were saying that they were like attracted to him. I thought he was a very shitty, corrupt mayor or governor when he was there. I do not think politics is a game of bartering. I do not think it is a game of gambling. I do not think, I mean, in the sense that like I'll trade my, deck of whatever cards for your deck of cards or whatever. I think that there's a winner and a loser and people win you over, they don't. I'm a Republican. I'm not voting for a Democrat. I'm sorry. I'm just not. And I'm really not voting for someone as corrupt as Andrew Cuomo. And I think people are very angry. They're like, well, don't you think this brings into hypocrisy about your support of Israel and the Jewish population? No, I am horrified for the Jewish population of New York. And I'm horrified for any pro-Israel person in this mayoral race. But I think that Mamdani campaigned very hard and has won a lot of people over. I don't like it. I don't totally understand it. And I think he's very dangerous. But Andrew Cuomo is not someone I would vote for. He just isn't. You can get mad at me all day long. I would have voted for Curtis Sliwa, the end. But people are very upset. And I just don't play or live like this. I also think that anyone who knows anything about politics, this idea that you're going to make a deal with the devil and it's going to work out and he's going to win. It's just not how this shit works. How it works is the best candidate wins and the person who wins the most people over wins and the people who inspire you win. And out of this shit sandwich, Curtis Sliwa would get my order. So that's I just wanted to say, because people are very upset on our social media about our conversation on Monday about it. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
As far, I mean, Mamdani's going to win. So my pitch to the world is that Curtis Sliwa needs his own Sunday news show.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I would watch the shit out of that. I would like it to be a roundtable show where it's like a panel show with him and like Geraldo, maybe a Juan Williams, and then some kind of some woman. Kennedy would be fantastic. And I think that would be the best highly rated Sunday show on any cable or network news show. So that's
I would like to get Curtis Sliwa on this show at some point because I thought he was very entertaining in the debates. But like I said, I think
he just has great stories, and also he does have policy and he has ideas. So, he's not just up there being, as much as he's been memed as this like crazy old grandpa guy in the beret. There is substance there. So I'm curious. I also am curious to see if Mamdani, I almost said Zoran, like, because that's just how they keep phrasing him. But if Mamdani does use him in some way once he does get in,
there are people like our own Mark Halpern here at 2A who are saying that like there's a possibility if enough of the like sort of older vote comes out and he doesn't get Mamdani doesn't get enough of the coalition that he needs, that Cuomo could win. Anything in life is possible. A meteor could hit the studio with 20 minutes.
They said Hillary was going to win 2016. Anything
betting in Vegas,
happen.
I would not. I just would not. I'm sorry. I just would not. And it's fine. And I also think that the people who are saying to me, but you have to vote for Cuomo because he'll take out Mamdani and we have to do what we have to do. This is not how I live my life. It's not how I vote. It's not how I do my politics. And also the people saying this, like a lot of the people that are saying this and some of the public people saying this have no experience in campaigns or elections or politics whatsoever. And a lot of these people are like, I think anti-woke Democrats. Like, I'm a very hardcore conservative woman. I am not voting for any of this shit that Cuomo is proposing. I'm obviously not voting for Mamdani either. I'd have to be lobotomized in order to do that. I think he's an existential threat to New York City. But like, I was surprised people were as upset as they were. And the reason why you guys like Miranda and I is because we keep it real. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you to vote for a corrupt Democrat who killed my friend's in-laws or is inadvertently responsible for it.
So many of these like pundits or analysts or social media keyboard commentators found out about this guy 2 months ago, and we've been covering him for 7 months. So, I mean, there's a little bit more background here. And
also, Miranda and I bought these sweatshirts separately. We did not know that we bought them together, just so we're clear. We did not know we bought them together, so we bought them totally separately.
And again, this is not the first time this happened. We did this with the 4th of July sweatshirts too one year, the blue USA ones. We did that. In fairness,
we both shop at Target regularly, so that's probably why this came from. While we're waiting for Cargill to come on, we are going to launch one of our new segments. We're going to start bringing some segments into the show, and I think this is going to be a new favorite of yours and mine, Miranda. So we're going to do, as I have warned all of you, your DMs, your messages, and not just current ones, like ones going all the way back, being monitored by everybody. So we decided that we're going to do our douchebag and darling of the week in the commentators. And this is YouTube comments, Instagram comments, Twitter, all forms of social media, anywhere, carrier pigeon, whatever. So would you like to hear our douchebag of the week? Please,
hell yes, I want to hear the douchebag of the week. I've probably already seen it, and maybe I said something back.
Our YouTube comment, their name is Guardian.
Oh, are we gonna wait? Are we naming these people? We're naming
in my
shaming?
Notes. We're naming. Sorry, guys.
Mamacita,
Guardian _ Angel, who apparently watches my shit and decided to take a look and comment. So Guardian _ Angel on YouTube said, "Thank God Meghan got kicked out of The View. She is just as unpleasant to watch and hear. Always angry, always exaggerating, always rushing to judgment." So I wasn't kicked off The View. I actually am only one of 2 hosts that quit on their own, me and Meredith Vieira.
I have the text messages on my
Guardian
phone
Angel.
of us going back and forth for weeks about so if anybody wants the receipts, I got them.
So I'm unpleasant, angry, and always exaggerating and rushing to judgment.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm very dramatic and I do rush to judgment.
And you run hot, as I do too. But I mean,
yeah. The thing
you're
about
always
Guardian
angry.
underscore
You're
Angel
so
is you don't
angry.
have to watch. You don't have to consume. So thank
But
you
I
so
do
much.
thank you for the engagement, Guardian Angel. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah,
Appreciate
keep
it.
commenting. We don't mind if
Keep,
it's bad.
keep
So that's our
commenting.
douchebag of the week. But our darling of the week, this is just Lauren. I don't know what else. I don't know where she came from. I apologize. It says, Meghan and Miranda, I love your show, and women like us need more women like you. Civilized, intelligent dialogue from someone who speaks their personal truth, even when it goes against the mainstream views of the party, and even when you ladies disagree with each other. It's uplifting to hear two women with different views who are real life friends talk politics, even though they disagree. Your show helps me process all the crazy shit going on in our world and has helped validate my feelings and views many a time. Thank you. And please, please keep the show going. Lauren, thank you so much.
That's
We
so
love
sweet.
that.
You are a
Where was she on
darling.
YouTube as well?
I think that was Instagram, right?
Instagram. Okay. So, Lauren, thank you so much. You are a darling of the week. I wish I knew more about you and knew anything other than your name is Lauren. So
We will
that's our
message you back later today, because that's very, very kind.
So, like I said, that's our darling of the week. You heard our douchebag of the week. So keep the comments coming. Love, hate, anything in between. But we appreciate you guys, no matter what, engaging in any way whatsoever. So, like
That
I said,
was
we're very
hysterical.
grateful. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
always angry, always
I think
exaggerating.
that made me cry. The douchebag at a laughter,
Douchebag's pretty
not
good.
because I'm upset. It's hysterical.
Okay, without further ado, Ashley has shown me on her little whiteboard. There he is, the man that needs no
Yay!
introduction, but maybe some of you do need introduction. This is our friend C. Robert Cargill. He is writer of Black Phone and Doctor Strange. His more recent films include Black Phone 2 and The Gorge, and he is writer of the anthology books Haunted Reels. He also has, well, we know the Black Phone 2 just came out, and the new audio book of your novella, All the Ashes We Leave Behind, has been released on Audible. You can find him on Blue Sky at crobertcargill.bsky.social or on Instagram at Massawarm. I have to tell you, you're not very active on Instagram, though. So maybe Blue
No.
Sky is the better place.
Yeah. Blue Sky is where I typically hang out. I'm a writer. I'm not a visual person, so
Fair.
I just don't see things and photograph them and go, huh, this will make a good post.
First and foremost, thank you so much for coming on. For people that don't know, Cargill's like a vampire and he normally doesn't get up till much later. And I thought, oh, we're making him get up kind of early in the morning. So because you do not live, you don't live on the East Coast. So we appreciate you taking time, Cargill.
No worries. I did wake up early for you, but
and
I
you're
am
in your
normally still in
vampire
bed.
cave.
Yeah, well, I mean, I write at night. It's nice. There's no news happens, nothing's going on, everything's quiet, and there's no distractions. So it's a good time to write.
How do you engage on social media? Because you and I met on social media 1,000 years ago. Literally, I think it's like 15 years ago. But you're not very active. Like I know a lot of people have left Twitter for all the obvious reasons. It's an absolute sewer. It really is a disgusting platform. I'm not just trying to whatever. It's nasty. But how do you stay off social media when you're trying to write? Because I get distracted, like even at the grocery store.
I mean, it literally comes down to just blocking that time and putting your phone face down and not paying attention to it, turning off the ringers, that kind of stuff. Also, it does help, like, in the middle of the night. That's one of the other things. There's nothing happening on social media. Like even Twitter at its heyday, there was this hour and a half block in the middle of the night when the West Coast had gone to bed and the Brits hadn't woken up yet. And there's nothing. Like you get 2 or 3 posts in an hour, and that was always the best time to get writing done.
But do you ever get inspired by social media too? Has there ever been like a tweet where you're like, oh, that's something that I could use?
Yes and no, but not in that way. Not in like I saw a tweet and that was, really, oh, it's like, oh, that's an idea. More along the lines of you take getting really frustrated with the day and all the stuff you're seeing on social media, and you take all that anger or frustration and then you take it out on a character, which really helps in horror movies.
I'm sure your actors love that. Yeah.
if you want inspiration for a terrible character who's going to meet a terrible end, social media is a good place to look. So
Anyone
yeah.
we could look to that something was based on, sure.
I feel like we need to just congratulate you, obviously, about Black Phone 2 doing so incredibly well at the box office. I was looking it up last night. Well, everybody is obsessed with both versions of the movie. The second one is a triumph. It's even, I think it's scarier than the first one. Are you just like feeling so? What's it like to have a hit movie out? I mean, that must be like so exciting and incredible.
It is. It's also very weird. It's just one of those things that you never fully process. Here's this thing you made with your friends that you bled for and you sweat for and you put it out there, and then all of a sudden everybody's going and seeing it, and they see it in this very separate way that you do. They get this 2 hour experience where they're in the movie theater having those reactions, and you just don't see it that way. You see it as this bit of work that you've done. You see all the effort, and you see how the shot didn't work out the way you wanted, and how you didn't have time to shoot this additional part. But it's so cool to, especially at Halloween, to have people talking about scary movies and then being like, oh, have you seen this movie? And you'll hear about it like when you're out shopping or something, and that's really the moment where it really kind of hits, when you find it out in the wild, where it's not like, hey, I'm online reading reviews or anything like this. Hold on one second. I didn't realize I had my iPad behind me. But you run into people in the wild just talking about your thing, and you don't say anything. You keep quiet about it. But it is very weird to be standing in a grocery store line and having some teenager tell their mom they have to go see Black Phone 2 this weekend. And you just kind of be there like, oh wow, that's mine. That kid's excited to go see my thing. And it's surreal, but really cool.
It also must be weird to have people do Halloween costumes off of a character you created.
That is weird. The thing that gets me more that I've seen is people who get tattoos. It's one thing to dress, see people wearing the masks, dressing up. That's a lot of fun. But when people are like, oh man, you got to check this out, and then they hold up their arm and they've gotten the mask tattooed, and it's like, I don't even have a tattoo of my movie.
That's wild. Yeah.
Also an interesting character to put on your body. I mean, it's not a good.
The thing is, I've made a couple movies that I've got that people tattoo. That I've seen lots of Doctor Strange tattoos. I've seen multiple Sinister tattoos. When you put something out in the world, some people they really connect with it and they want a piece of that on themselves. And personally, I think it's rad. I don't want anyone to think I don't think it's awesome, but it is kind of weird to process.
I love the Sinister movies too. As you know, I saw the first one the first time with you in Austin. I don't think it premiered. I think it was a screening.
No, it was the premiere.
I don't even.
It was the premiere at South by.
Wasn't it South by Southwest?
Not to give you guys too much information. I got extremely drunk afterwards, so it could I could have been on Jupiter. Honestly, screening out the
We drank a lot of whiskey and smoked a lot of cigars.
Yes, I was like really drunk.
Sounds like your wedding.
Yeah, it was so fun though. But you're a frequent collaborator of Ethan Hawke. Do you think that? And he's obviously in Black Phone 2. Is he your muse at this point?
Not my muse, but he is. Whenever we're working on a project and we've got a character in a certain range, when we're trying to figure that character out, it does help to go, oh, what if we put Ethan in it? What if we just have, and then all of a sudden the cadence and the depth of character you can add to it crystallizes, even if you're not going to end up with Ethan being available or using Ethan. Just having him there as a touchstone, someone I've worked with, someone who's I know how he speaks, how he his rhythms. It makes it easy to write for. But no, it's not like I just wake up in the morning and go, oh, what Ethan Hawke project am I going to write today? It's just it helps when he ended up becoming friends with one of the best actors of his generation. So
I would watch Ethan Hawke read the phone book. I think he's just a genius and an incredible actor. I totally agree with you.
I love his transition into horror too. He's just such a natural in that vein. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah, he resisted it for a long time, actually. Sinister was his first horror movie, and Black Phone is the first time he ever played a villain. So
why did he resist it? He's really obviously very
because
talented.
he's so beautiful. Probably wants to be the heartthrob or whatever. It's like God.
It's really cultural norms. It's, I mean, we really have seen a change in the last 15 years over how the mainstream regards horror. For a long time, it was off in its own corner and the industry was kind of ashamed of it, but it always made money and certain people liked it. And then it became more and more widely accepted by mainstream audiences here in the States. And as they did, critics came around and critic scores started getting better. If you go back and look at our critic scores for Sinister, which was considered a critical success at the time, it's got a 63 on Rotten Tomatoes. Whereas if you look at horror movies today, 80s and 90s are not unheard of, but you never saw a movie 15 years ago that was a horror movie that had a 90 something Rotten Tomatoes score. Just too many critics didn't like horror. It was, horror and romantic comedies. They just hated them. They make money, but we have to watch them. And as they came around and the audiences came around, so too did the rest of the industry come around. And just like, 20 years ago, if you asked an A-list actor, hey, are you going to be in the superhero movie? They might laugh at you. Then there hit the time where every A-list actor was in a superhero movie. Like everyone did one. And then now everyone's doing horror. Every other day, there's a new announcement that some A-lister is working on a horror film because everybody's watching horror now. And so he just resisted it, and he's talked about it multiple times from, the aspect of, well, he thought that was where you went when you failed as an actor, was you did horror movies. Because if you look at a lot of the horror movies of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it's all aging actors who are once A-listers who don't move the needle anymore, but will get butts in seats for a horror film. And so he thought that's what that was, not realizing that it would fundamentally alter his career, that he'd be getting in right as the industry changed its views on it, and then would go on to now be a horror icon who's on like soda cans. Like you could buy Fanta cans with the grabber on it. So you could buy your Ethan Hawke soda can. Which is it's just a different time. But yeah, he resisted it. And then when he came around, he really embraced it and loved it and has made a lot of it.
Do you think it was like the horror cons, the comedy, the comic cons and stuff that really helped elevate the status of these kinds of franchises and films?
Some of it, yeah, definitely.
Can I jump in there? Was it Get Out that did it? Because that's obviously one of the few horror movies to win an Academy Award.
It's part of the inflection point. I mean, there's really a few years before Get Out, you have the Babadook and Babadook. And what was the other one from that year? It Follows. And those
that was a great one.
Yeah.
Those
movies messed me up.
Yeah, those were critical darlings that then really inspired younger people who weren't into horror going, oh, wait a second, am I into horror? Do I like horror? People kind of have this moment where
they weren't slashers. I think they were very thoughtful and very introspective movies that really they stayed with you for days. They weren't just jump scare.
Yeah. And then that followed up with, we had The Witch, which also was another big critically acclaimed one. And then you have Get Out, and Get Out is the first one to get an Oscar since 1990 with Silence of the Lambs. And then you end up with this big push of like people going, oh, wait a second, there's this new kind of A24 brand of horror that is as the phrase that is both beloved and hated, elevated. Things that are not just, hey, we're making a fun spooky movie, but also, hey, this has got complex themes to it. It's got complex characters. It may not end coherently. Maybe more of an esoteric art film. Horror can be a lot of things, which it always has, but the mainstream kind of came around on it. And then all of a sudden making a horror movie wasn't an embarrassment anymore. It wasn't something that, for a small subset. Everybody makes horror movies now, and everybody goes to see horror movies now. And as a result, the industry changed along with it, and everybody kind of came along.
Can I ask you about the Babadook really quickly? I believe it was actually you who told me to watch the Babadook originally. And after my dad died, and everyone knows he died of brain cancer, and it was very traumatic, I did grief counseling, I did therapy, I did medication. And literally the first thing that made me feel like really a lot better was the Babadook. And just bear with me. People interpret it as a metaphor for many different things. If you haven't seen the Babadook, like, pause here.
Watch it.
I'm giving you spoilers, but it's basically about this mother and a son who find a monster in their basement, and they're fighting it and having a horrific time, and they don't know what to do, and it's very traumatic and intense and chaotic. And the end of the movie is that they just live with it, that they're feeding it and that they have to live with it. And that, for me, is grief. It's this monster I live with that I have to feed in the basement. And if I don't feed it and I don't pay attention to it, I spiral. And I was like, fuck grief counseling, respectfully, but like, just watch The Babadook. It'll make you feel a lot better about your life. And then I read recently that The Gorge, which is obviously a movie you produced, that oh my gosh, I forgot the actress's name who was in
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
An actress who lost her husband to suicide. I apologize, I forgot her
Aubrey
name.
Plaza.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza, yes. And she said that movie helped her with grief. Did you see that interview? She was on Amy Poehler's podcast about it. How does that make you feel? Because again, that movie's a huge hit, but these horror movies are helping people with trauma.
Well, I mean, that's what all art does. Art is taking these emotions and feelings you have in your brain and finding a medium through which to translate them to other people and to communicate. And you're writing about your own struggles and your own worries, and that's all baked into everything you work on. And so that's the hope is that you write a movie that someone connects with and says, that's me on there. I feel that, that chasm in front of me is, in the movie is how I feel about, this relationship and this loss that I've had. And you hope for stuff like that. It is very surreal to, have an actress who you admire and whose work you've loved for years, then talk about your work like that. That is a moment that you just kind of have to step back and take it all in. But yeah, it is it's deeply moving. I mean, her loss is tragic and horrible, and it's never fun to be connected in a way with something like that. I don't really want to spend too much time talking about it because this woman has been through a lot. But yeah, it's very meaningful when somebody sees your thing and then identifies it. And like what you were talking about, I mean, you can go to therapy, you can, talk to all sorts of people, but sometimes just seeing that you're not alone and feeling that emotionally in a moment of art helps you feel like, oh, I get this now. I understand. I see, this isn't people talking me through a problem. I'm engaged emotionally with somebody else's version of this, and we're very much the same. And
I know the Babadook is like an LGBTQ like figure as well, that people interpret it as living with being gay or queer or whatever. So it's fascinating. I also wanted to ask you, I remember having a conversation with you about how horror movies in particular are a reflection of the cultural moment, like monster movies of the past being metaphors for communism, slasher movies being metaphor for the AIDS crisis. I think I read somewhere that the torture porn was a reaction to the Iraq War and sort of like images from Abu Ghraib. What moment are we in now? And because again, we're not really zombie, but like what? Because that's like, I think we've like moved past it a little bit.
There's a lot of like demonic, occult, witchcraft, crumbling of society, exploitation. If you look at Sinners, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It's kind of all over the place.
Well, it's all over the place because, and chiefly this is an industry thing, but there's been so much drop off in box office since the pandemic. We have a lot of movies that are primarily made for Gen Xers these days, but Gen Xers have these really great home theaters. We're not making enough movies for young people. And as a result, the movies that young people are going to are horror movies because they feel those are the movies that are for them. And Hollywood is throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. So there is no major movement in horror right now, like there usually is, where you can identify, like you talked about, when you said torture porn, I can tell you're talking 2005 through 2007,
like Hostel.
And you can identify those movements. And right now it's everything all at once. And I think the thing is that really everyone's connecting with is, regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, regardless of where you are in life, we're all kind of low-key terrified at every moment of the day right now.
Of course,
we're all feeling heightened anxiety, and these movies are reflecting that. And these movies are because of what we were talking about earlier and the way that the industry has changed the way they view horror. We're making a lot of movies that are a lot of character pieces that people can really connect to, where I was talking about It Follows and Babadook from 2014. Those were outliers. You look at something like this year and you can find a dozen films that are like those in theme or style. There's many films that are really connecting with audiences, not one or two horror movies from a given year, but a dozen horror movies in a given year that are connecting. And I think that really does reflect overall, there isn't one crisis. We have 12. So you can pick your crisis that you want to be the metaphor for your film.
Can I ask you, Cargill, we were actually sent the movie Civil War last year to review, which we're still very grateful for. It's not a horror movie, but for me, it was a horror movie.
It was
because
for me too.
Our response was, whomever wrote, produced, directed this movie is an extremely well-researched person in all ways, from the dress the journalists were wearing to the political implications to what politically happened that led to the breakdown of the Constitution, to Nick Offerman being a very Trump-like character with his team. Like everything about it.
And their ability to predict the future, like the split in the what kind of American are you?
Yes. Yes.
That was fascinating.
But that we were like, this is a horror movie for me. Like, it may not be for everybody. And that movie did extremely well. And I remember being like, just really impressed again with whomever did this research, because some people do political movies and it's, it's very evident they didn't really know anyone who does anything in politics. Do you think a movie like that only sort of got the kind of reaction and did as well as it did because, again, people are so fearful of the plausibility of something like that happening?
That's Alex Garland's movie, and Alex Garland is an incredible writer. He's one of my favorite writers. He's one of the guys that I've been following in the wake of and very much look up to. I think that film really connected for a couple of reasons. One, yes, we are at this. Politics is something almost all of us are talking about every day now in a way we weren't 10, 15, 20 years ago. Like every day. When you sit down with friends at for a drink, it's not like, how was your day? It's like, did you see what he said today? And so that is definitely on the minds. But I think what really worked with that movie was about something that we don't see a lot of, but that we admire. There's still a very great admiration in the mainstream for journalism. And this movie wasn't about the Civil War. Like, that stuff was in the background. It was really about journalists, and about being on the road and being embedded and being in the middle of insanity, which I think is why it traumatized you so much, because you've been on the ground, you've been on those buses, you've been on those planes, and you've been watching craziness unfold around you. And so I think that's really what connected with everyone. And it's just such an entertaining movie at the same time. And it also has the other benefit of being an A24 movie. And A24 just comes with a big cache of goodwill, especially from younger audiences. When they see that A24 logo, they go, this is going to be a good movie. Can't wait to see it. And so when that popped up with Civil War, they're like, well, I guess I'm watching a war movie. So it had a lot of things going into it. But yeah, really, really amazing film. I adored the hell out of that one.
I feel that way about Neon as well as A24. Like, I'm like, oh, these must be good movies. And I actually still feel that way about Blumhouse. We do want to ask about Blumhouse did Sinister, correct?
And the Black Phones.
Oh, I didn't know. The Black Phones
Before
too,
we get into the best movies of the year, can I ask a question about A24?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Ty West trilogy with the X, Pearl, and Maxine. Do you think that might be a new trend that people do, where they're these trilogies, but they stand alone?
We also need to say in all candidness, we are friends with him. So both of us.
Okay. Well,
just FYI,
please pass this along because I am obsessed. And so I think that's just like a brilliant way of weaving these stories together that we've never seen, at least me, I've never seen this before. Do you think that this is a way that we can see horror trilogies move forward instead of like Scream 35, where it's just kind of like the same thing over and over again? Because I think it's masterful.
I don't think so. I love that trilogy. I also know Ty, and I'm a big admirer of that trilogy. And for those of you that don't know, he shot the movie X and secretly shot Pearl at the same time. He shot it as a twofer. So everybody thought he was just making one movie and he was making two, and then came out with a third film shortly thereafter. But the thing is that audiences tend with horror, they want more of what they specifically got in the previous installment. And so the X series is one of those things that has a lot to say, and all of its running themes are kind of woven together in a way that you wouldn't expect. Like if I said, "Hey, you need to watch this really great horror trilogy about pornography," that would make you stop for a second. You'd be like, wait, what? It's like, well, I mean, it's not
It's like
all
in the
about,
background. Yeah.
that's what it is through the whole
Yeah.
series. Every single one of these films, that is a pivotal part of those movies, is her engagement with pornography in one way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a really great series and wonderful, but the people that don't like it because of its inconsistency, because every film is a completely different movie, which is what you love about it. And what I love the hell out of about it is each one of
Me
those
too.
movies.
Yeah.
Like if I want to watch one of those three films, it's like, what kind of mood am I in tonight? Do I want to, I want to watch the weird surrealness of Pearl? Do I want a straight slasher like X? Do I want a kind of big bombastic final film with Maxine? And the people I'm talking to, nobody is conceiving of films that way. That was a very Ty thing, and Ty just really kind of nailed it. But no one I'm talking to right now is like, okay, I've got this great cool trilogy. It's everybody's just kind of focused on the movie in front of them.
If anyone
Can I
could pull
ask
that
you,
off
though,
again, God, I'd be so happy.
sorry to interrupt you, Miranda.
No,
Can I ask you
I'm done.
though, there was a lot of anger that Mia Goth wasn't nominated for an Oscar for Pearl. I think anyone that saw that, again, I'm not an acting expert, but she seemed more than justified in getting more award recognition, just given her skill in that character.
She
For
was
anyone
like
who hasn't seen it,
solo
it's
on screen almost the
wildly
entire
disturbing.
movie
Yes.
and
Um,
incredibly compelling. Oh, God, she's
and
such a powerhouse.
And also, the actors of Hereditary, there was a lot of anger that several actors in that movie didn't, which is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Why is it that actors aren't recognized for their, by any objective point of view, their
I mean,
incredible
until the
performances in these
substance.
films?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about. The way Hollywood views horror has evolved and changed. The problem with the Academy in particular is the Academy is overwhelmingly voted on by people who are in their 60s or later. People who you haven't thought of or heard of in 20, 30 years who are still voting members of the Academy. And so it skews much older, and that group of people don't feel that horror is in the same caliber as other movies. And so they want their big feel good movies, they want their dramas, they want their indie films. Horror movies aren't to be recognized in the same way. And the younger Hollywood has completely embraced it, as we've been talking about this whole time. But you still have this older group that just won't vote for horror movies, just won't support it. They'll support like Demi Moore, like you mentioned, because Demi Moore is Demi Moore.
Mhm.
She's been part of the industry for over 40 years. So they all know and love her, and she deserves her flowers. But when it comes to Mia Goth, they're like, who's Mia Goth? What are these X movies? I don't watch them, and they end up falling by the wayside. And there's a big argument in the horror community about that. There's people who very much want horror to be recognized by the arts awards, and then people like me who want it to stay punk rock, who are like,
That's
you,
fair.
you
Yeah.
don't give Grammys to bands that play at CBGBs. You listen to them for 40 years.
Fair.
And so horror is a great place for outsider art where anybody can come in with their story and tell their story for almost no money. And if you tell it well enough, we won't care. And I feel that once you get Oscars involved, once you get like big awards involved, then you get producers that are chasing that and would prefer to make the kind of movie that the Oscars would like to see, as opposed to what we think the audience wants. And the longer we can keep that out of my horror scene, the happier I'll be.
The first real horror movie that I remember being so scared that I couldn't sleep and it was so realistic was the Blair Witch Project found footage movie. That became a big trend, the found footage, for a while, but we haven't really seen that much of it recently. Is that something that's sort of like played out at this point? And why does the Blair Witch Project have such legs forever? Because I made my niece watch it and she was like, this is the scariest shit I've ever seen. I was like, I thought that was real. I thought those kids had actually died. And I thought the Blair
Same.
Witch was a real thing because we
And
thought
the
it was
same thing with
footage found.
With the Poughkeepsie tapes. I'm
Yes.
petrified of the Poughkeepsie tapes. I can't tell if it's real or not.
Poughkeepsie tapes is very not real.
I know it's not, but it's so
no.
scary.
I mean, first of all, found footage is still around. It's really kind of evolved into its own subgenre. In fact, me and my wife Jess, we executively produced a found footage movie that's coming out next month called Man the Pines Tape.
Amazing.
And they're still around. They just haven't connected in the mainstream recently. There's not a lot you can really do with found footage at the moment that we haven't fully seen. Why that one worked was, at the time, and it's famous now, but they lied. They told everybody it was a true story. They hid the actors they didn't let the actors go and do the press tour. They set up a site online that had fake information about it, but didn't say any of it was falsified, and people are like, oh my god, this is real, we're watching a snuff film. And so it terrified people.
That is how it felt. Yeah.
And for some of us, like I remember walking out that night after watching the screening after all the hype and being disappointed because I was like, oh, that was fake. It was who was and Jess looked at me and she goes, how do you know? And I'm like, who's doing the sound in the final reel? Like, there's no sound man following him around.
Cameraman
Like,
never dies. You know that.
Oh my god!
Like all of a sudden we're hearing all the sound, and I'm like, and she goes, "Oh God, I didn't think about that." And it's like, yeah. And so I was disappointed. I have since come around and really love it. But that first night, because we were all told it was real. And so that kind of connected, and it became that film that everybody passed around, and that clearly you didn't go see it in a movie theater. You were kind of handed it, right? Somebody said, "Oh, you got to watch this movie."
I watched it at Lake
The
Powell of
Ring.
all things, which is also a terrible place to watch it because we were in the middle of nowhere on a lake, and I was like, "The Blair Witch is gonna kill me."
Walk outside, and there's the stick.
I was
witches.
Petrified. I mean, there's no way to explain. I was also like 13, but there's no way to describe what the Blair Witch Project did to me.
Speaking of being lied to at the beginning of a movie and being told it's true, Weapons did that also and said this is a true story and never kind of
we have to
negated
talk
that.
to you about Weapons too, because both of us loved it. I saw it in the theater, and because it got like a very high rating and it got a lot of buzz originally, and I was like, oh, I love everyone involved in all of this, and I love Julia Garner, and did not disappoint. Loved it. Loved the ending. Loved the entire thing. Why did that movie explode the way it did this year?
Well, I mean, first of all, it had that great trailer. Anytime you deal with creepy kids, people perk up and they're like, oh, kids, they freak me out. And it was something that just the root of that story is something that really connects with everyone. The idea of one night, all these kids just getting up and running out into the night, not being seen again, is just a scary, scary thing for any parent, for any community. It ties in thematically with lots of things that we've been worrying about in this day and age, and it just really connected. And then the director had made a movie that really caught everybody off guard with Barbarian. And so
Barbarian was
all
incredible.
that buzz
Yeah.
coming up, like the guy who made Barbarian made something else. So that just all kind of bubbled up. And then when everybody saw it, everybody's like, oh my God, this movie's incredible. And so the word of mouth really got behind that movie. I'm a huge fan of that movie. It's one of my favorites of the year, hands down.
As I was watching it,
one second. I read a rumor on the internet that Jordan Peele fired his agents over missing the script on it, that he wanted to make Weapons. Is that true or just something on the internet?
I imagine that's something on the internet because Jordan writes for himself.
And Zach Cregger wrote and directed it. And it was like an allegory for his personal life growing up with like having seen it, alcoholic parents, and he was that little boy and all that stuff. It's a whole thing. But when I was watching it at the end, it felt very like what popped into my head, and please feel free to disagree with me, but like grown up spooky Hocus Pocus. And that was,
it is a witchcraft movie. hands down.
Like
and he gets
stealing the souls of little children.
But he gets wild and silly in that third act in a way that is really cathartic and fun, which I think makes that movie work. You walk out of that movie going, wow, that was a hell of a fun time. I really enjoyed that, instead of walking out going, oh man, oh, that's so dark. Oh, and it really, it played all the right notes over the course of the movie and really, really kind of worked. But yeah, I think saying, more grown-up rated R Hocus Pocus isn't wrong. I think it's a really great witchcraft movie in a way that we haven't seen other witchcraft movies done recently.
Well, and the way it was split up into the chapters that focused on each characters, I loved that. Another non-linear storytelling is fascinating to me. Anytime that anybody kind of mixes it up is good. And it felt like the different stages of grief and addiction and abuse and all that. It was just A+. Anybody who hasn't seen it, we're not spoiling anything. Watch it, and it's streaming on HBO Max. This is not a plug. We're not getting paid for it, but watch it.
And Cargill, we have to ask you about some of the disappointments as well. I was really, really looking forward to 28 Years Later. 28 Days Later is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life, still to this day. I even don't mind the sequel, the 28 Weeks Later one afterward. I did not like this movie. I was really disappointed. I really wanted to love it, and I was like, I got to be honest with myself. There's a lot of anticipation. It's not just me. It had a solid pre-sale record, but it didn't do what it wanted to, and it was widely criticized by critics as the most disappointing horror movie of the year. People found it, quote, uninspiring and convoluted, and it failed to meet expectations. There is a new one coming out, I believe, this summer. Am I alone? Did you like 28 Years Later? Am I just being a hater?
I did like it. There's one wild ass moment at the very end of the movie that I know throws a lot of people. Where people are like, "Oh, this is a good movie," and then they get to this moment and they're like, "What did I just watch?" But the thing about 28 Years Later is that it was shot back to back with, like what we were just talking about with X of all things, shot back to back with its own sequel, with an intention to make a third film, because it's part of a new trilogy. And so what you've just watched is the first film of a full arc. So you may end up seeing that second film and then really love it and go, okay, I got to revisit this first one, and then go, oh, this is all set up for that. This is one big story. So it's kind of like how people engaged with Fellowship of the Ring the first time, where they, people were like, oh, I've heard Lord of the Rings is great. And then they watch it and they're like, so that's it. They just kind of all run off in separate directions. That's the end of the movie. And then you watch Two Towers and go, oh my God. And then you go back and go, oh, this is a whole thing. So for me, the jury is still out on how I'm going to feel about it. Anything that's going to be done as a franchise that is building into other things, you kind of have to rethink what you think after you watch the other elements. So I'm going to see how that works. But you're not alone. You're not being a hater. A lot of people were disappointed with 28 Years Later, and in fact, there's a whole kind of tone in the horror community where people feel like they have to apologize for liking it. It's one of those movies where it's like, I'm sorry, guys, I really like 28 Years Later. I never
We don't believe in guilty pleasures.
I don't either. So I never apologize. So I'm not like, I'm sorry, but I like it. I'm like, no, I fucking like it. But if you don't like it, then more for me. But yeah, but you are not alone. That was the movie that a lot of people had a lot of hype for, and then were disappointed ultimately at the end. But I do dig it, and I'm very excited for this next installment.
What's it called? The Bone Kingdom? The Bone. I don't know what the sequel is called. The next one. It doesn't matter.
I was wondering, is it 28 decades later? I was in my head. I was curious. What are they? How far are we taking this thing? Yeah,
it goes right from the last one. That's the whole thing. This is the story of this kid and his big adventure, and where he goes, and how his ascent to manhood, and then going off and kind of coming to grips. One of the things I really loved, I will say, about 28 Years Later that I don't think anyone gives it credit for, is that it deals with a zombie outbreak in a way no other movie has. Every other movie assumes that every corner of the earth is going to get ravaged by zombies, that zombies are going to be able to get on planes and end up in Europe and then, go wild over there. And here it's like, no, we contained it. You can't go to the UK at all. The UK is off limits. That is now a post-apocalyptic zone. But the rest of the world is just normal outside. And I thought that was a really interesting thing for Garland and Boyle to play around with. to really be like, oh yeah, no, the rest of the world is just moving along fine. We have cell
Business as
phones, you know,
usual. So
yeah.
weird.
But that over here, it's a zombie universe. So sorry, guys. Sorry you were born on the wrong island.
It's
And
also interesting that 28 years later, and obviously 28 days later, the original, it changed the idea of a zombie from the like walking, slow, like undead to the rage virus, to the
mhm.
frantic, screaming, running. And now you see that much more in like The Walking Dead and a lot of other like zombie films and art that has followed. Is that, do you think like like zombie stuff will never be, I will always want it. It's like pizza. Like I always will want a zombie movie or zombie show. I still like The Walking Dead and I like Daryl Dixon's Walking Dead. Judge away. It's very good. It's like very entertaining and very well done. And sometimes you just want to watch zombie stuff. But why do you think it is that ever since 28 Days Later that people are still like re-obsessed with it? But this version, this like rage virus one.
Well, I mean, it was a culture bomb.
Mhm.
If you look at any media, any interviews, any con events for the 10 years after that movie came out, you will find every creator having to insert their opinion on fast zombies. The
Mm.
phrase "fast zombies suck" became a catchphrase in the horror community for a long time because people were so upset about the idea of fast zombies. While other people are like, "Hey, let other people have fun and evolve things." For the longest time, we had two schools of thought on zombies. You had the Romero version of the zombie, and then you had the Return of the Living Dead version of the zombie. And oftentimes people would get those, in the mainstream confused, but there were separate rules. And the Romero zombie is you shoot him in the head, the zombie dies. The Return of the Living Dead rules are you got to electrocute it or burn it because anything you sever is still going to be alive. And so, but the thing is, they were all both slow. They were both slow zombies. So, at least that was the rules. And here's this third type of zombie. And people are like, what are you doing? We've had these same rules for like 40 years. You can't just come in and make new stuff. And then other people are like, yes, you can. That's what art is.
Mhm.
And so it became a big argument. And then eventually, now that the original 28 days later is considered a stone cold classic, you don't really see that argument anymore. You just be like, okay, well, fast zombies belong over here in these kind of movies and rage viruses. And it's a virus, not a zombie. So I don't have to be so persnickety about it. But yeah, it really did kind of start a whole conversation on what the rules of zombies are. And are you allowed to violate them and break them, and still sell them as a zombie movie? And so as a result, that's become the touchstone movie when you talk about that kind of stuff.
Can I ask you, we got to ask a little bit more about bombs. Megan too, Jason Blum actually went on this very popular podcast to talk about why that movie wasn't a success. Matt Baloney's The Town podcast. He went on the weekend that the movie bombed, it didn't do well. And the new movie Him, which was
I was
produced
so
by Jordan
excited for that.
Peele. Yeah, was just a total. Actually I was very excited to see it, and then the reviews were just so bad that I was like, maybe I should not waste my night out on this. Why do you think those two movies underperformed?
Well, I mean, Megan too was one of those that I think people really were not expecting what they got. There was a big conversation. How do we make this, make a sequel to this? And someone suggested they turn into the skid. Hey, let's make Terminator 2. But the comedy from the first film had worked really well. And so they carried over, and it was much more of a comedy than a horror film, and they didn't sell it that way. So people walked in and they're like, what is this? And it was totally different than what people were expecting. Me and my wife watched it. We got to see it early, and I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. It was, I really enjoyed the movie. So I was very disappointed to see how people reacted to it. I think as people pick it up and check it out and go, oh, I'll finally watch it, they'll be like, I don't understand what people don't like about this. This is perfectly fine. It's fun. It's hilarious. Him is one of those other things that, I think because it had Jordan Peele's name on it, again, Jordan Peele comes with a certain level of elevation. And Him was kind of a straight horror movie. It's not a movie that is incredibly deep. It doesn't have a lot to say and nothing new to say, in particular that feels like what you'd expect from Monkey Paw. Jordan Peele's company. And so I think critics reacted to that very negatively, and then the audience has picked up on that. And yeah, it sadly did not do well. It's one that's been on my short list to watch for the last few weeks, and hopefully I get around to it tonight or tomorrow, because me and Jess are kind of cramming in horror movies before before Halloween night, because I've been traveling, promoting the film. So we haven't had our month, as you know, because Megan, you stayed at our house. We sit around, we watch like 2-3 horror movies a night during Halloween season. And so we have not been able
and
to
Christmas
do that.
movies at Christmas.
Oh yes, absolutely. Give me all the Hallmark movies. Just put them right in my eyeballs. That's what I want at Christmas.
He loves Love Actually, which I always think is hilarious given the content you create.
I've never seen Love Actually, not one time.
What?
Oh, every year.
Miranda.
Our local movie theater shows it in a theater, so we've been watching it in a theater for the last like 10 years. They have a whole like champagne poppers you pop during your favorite kiss, and it's
your favorite kiss.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's what you do. And so like during the big kiss, half the audience will be like,
that's hysterical.
Yeah, no, it's
so
great.
good.
But yeah, no, the guy who wrote Sinister and came up with the lawnmower kill also really loves Love Actually.
Loves a good love story.
Perfect. Yeah.
Just a reminder to raise your digital hands because we're going to run on time in a little bit. But we have Cargill here if you want to ask us anything horror movie related. Wait, I still have more questions for you.
Well, I just want to know what his favorite Halloween horror movie. Like, what is your go-to?
Yeah, what is your go-to?
The Changeling. 1980.
Oh, that's a good one.
George C. Scott, incredible horror movie. It's George C. Scott acting his ass off in a house being chased by the ghost of a child, and it scares grown-ass adults. There's a moment where a ball comes down a stairs that I swear to God, first time adults watch it, they just freak out. And it is that's my go-to Halloween horror movie. I watch it every year.
I love that.
I don't know if you know this, but we are obsessed with all things Conjuring and Annabelle doll related. Obsessed with
obviously
their Farmiga. Obsessed with following the stories of there's been actually a lot of like tragic stories related to the Annabelle doll. Her guardian died unexpectedly in this like very creepy way. And we actually have someone who wants to ask a question. Ashley just told me, Emily, who is a friend of ours, who actually went and saw the Annabelle doll.
Hey.
What question do you have for Cargill? Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween. No, hi Cargill, a big fan, love Sinister, just watched it for the second time a few weeks ago. We're also a multi-horror movie per night Halloween family.
Nice.
We did Halloween Kills last night. Yeah. Yes. So I have a movie suggestion. It's kind of like a hidden gem. The WNUF Halloween special.
Oh yeah.
That is a great movie that needs more attention.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, not only that, I think they're at 2 sequels now.
I have not seen the sequels because I know they don't do marketing for them.
Yeah,
it's like
look 'em up.
true analog.
Yeah, there's a 2 additional ones that team has made. For those of you that don't know, the Megan, you will love this.
I don't know this.
Yes,
Okay.
you will love this.
Halloween special.
Both of you will love it.
It is what it is it pretends to be this tape that was taped off the air in like 1987 on a local channel, and it's the local news doing their big Halloween special, and they're gonna have a live exorcism inside a house, a spooky house in the area. And so we're building up to that, and it's all the commercials, it's all the segments, and you're watching this thing unfold live as it goes sideways.
Is this the one that came out last year?
No. This has been out for like over a decade.
That's Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's really good too.
Okay.
But yeah, so they've done 2 follow-ups at least. Did
not know this.
They're very low budget, but in the way that looks like actual local television looked when this came out. And it's very, very, very good. I'm a big fan
they're
of
really cool. Those and the VHS movies.
Love the
those
VHS
are great.
Movies.
Well, I made one of the VHS movies.
You did?
VHS 85. Me and Scott have a segment in it called Dream Kill.
Oh yeah, I love those movies.
And wasn't there a paranormal activity movie that was like VHS?
All of them. The first
Well, the
one.
original Paranormal Activity was pretty much just it was just that. It was
Mhm.
they're all found footage movies.
It was
So
like a Dia de los Muertos
Um,
or something like one.
if I have like a few more quick questions for Cargill, Emily,
yeah.
anything else you want to add? Happy to see you.
No, I have an Annabelle update, but I can save that for another time if you
Well,
want.
we should ask you, because Emily's obsessed with Annabelle too. What is
Mhm.
it about these movies, one of the most successful horror trilogies of all time, that
And are
makes
they
people
really
like us,
done?
yeah, that makes people
What
like
is
us so
it that
obsessed with it? Like, why is this something that people can't get enough of? And we are three women here who are like
I
patient
don't
zero
know?
for it.
I don't know. So I was actually talking to my sister-in-law about this. She's a therapist, and we were talking about horror movies, and one of the things that fascinates her, and she needs to do some more research on this, is that she knows someone who is also a therapist who is fascinated by horror, but she's terrified of it. And we were talking about this, and she says that horror fans tend to be, she's like, there's two different types. She goes, there's people who grew up with it, and it was
Mhm.
just a normal part of their life, like how mine was. Like my mom and my stepmom both loved horror. I grew up with it. Like I have no choice but to like it. And then she says there's people who it was forbidden. Like she said, more people that were raised more religious tend to be more afraid of horror movies and not like them. Sometimes that stays, sometimes they rebel, which I kind of find that to be the case sometimes. Or then you have people like my dad, who was a reluctant horror fan, who just kind of grew to like it over time. So, and I have also found that women tend to like horror more.
Mhm. Is that
I used to
true,
work,
Cargill? Mm.
you
Not
think?
not statistically.
Yeah.
You know, it's women and men, they do fall equally in line. That is one of the
Hmm.
things. It is one of the most balanced of the genres. Where like action leans very male and romance leans very
Hmm.
female, whereas horror hits everybody the same. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cargill, what is it about the Annabelle series and The Conjuring that has made it just such a
Oh,
huge
that's
success and
yes, that you
people
were
love
talking
it?
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, the connection to true stories, regardless of how much you believe them, regardless of what you think of the Warrens, the whole
Mhm.
based on a true story element adds a certain level of authenticity. Like we were talking about half an hour ago about, when you watch Blair Witch Project, you know, the idea that these stories could be in some way real or connected to reality heightens that level of horror that we feel. Like it makes it feel like there could be Annabelle waiting around the corner.
Mhm.
Also at the same time, it is gateway horror. The type of people that
Mhm.
Mhm.
don't like horror films can watch the Conjuring movies and get scared, and that is not a slight in any way. I consider Black Phone to be a gateway horror movie. It's a kind of movie you can show
Mhm.
a 13 and 14-year-old and won't wreck them for life. But then they
Mhm.
can go, oh, I guess I like these horror movies. I'll try a couple others. And so they really do connect to a wide audience. And the fact that they really have focused on making most of them PG-13, making that accessible to teenagers, accessible to families, and not feel like it's too extreme. Also, there's no gore in them. They are supernatural horror. It is bumps in the night. And so I think that really connects. But overall, I mean, the important thing about horror is that we talk about engaging with movies as an intellectual exercise, and it's a physical exercise. When we
Mm.
watch a movie, we're not just hearing it and seeing it. It's elevating our heart rate. It's triggering dopamine reactions. It's triggering adrenaline reactions. When there's an annual study they do at one of the Ivy League colleges that they publish over the scariest horror films of the year of all time.
Mhm.
And how they do that is by measuring biometrics. So they're measuring heart rates and sustained heart rate, the spikes in heart rate, what's happening to your blood pressure. They're monitoring all that to see what's physically happening to you to figure out what the scariest movie is. And so people do enjoy having those physical reactions. It's like, it's the same way, like, why do people run marathons? Like, that sounds horrible. And they're like, oh man, the high you get afterwards, after a good
Mhm.
long run, you just feel so good. You feel that way when you watch horror movies. You get that physical reaction, then you laugh, you jump, you feel safe. you have a good time, you enjoy that reaction. And so I feel like the Conjuring movies have done a really great job of being able to mass market that, and hitting all the things that most people like about horror without the things that a lot of people in the mainstream get turned off by horror.
Well, it's very primal. If you think about our human biology, we used to have to, run away from predators and whatever and all of that. So we need that, sometimes that rush of fear or adrenaline or dopamine or whatever it is, like you just said. And now this is a way that we can do it in a very controlled and safe. It's the same reason why people like to go to roller coasters or haunted houses or whatever.
Or sporting events like boxing, things
or
like
the
that.
Dodgers game
Yeah.
that went on for 17, 15, 35 days and hours and weeks and months and years. So,
Well,
it's controlled, hormone rushes.
Emily, thank you so much for coming on. Happy
anytime.
Halloween. Come back
Yes.
Monday to share your Annabelle story. We can spread that Annabelle out forever. I know we're going on time. I just have to ask one more question of you, Cargill, and you're not going to be surprised by this. I am an M. Night Shyamalan defender. I've always been an M. Night Shyamalan defender. I love his work. I even love the bad movies that people don't like The Happening. I found that movie entertaining. I really didn't have a problem with that movie. Everybody fucking hates that movie except me. I love him. I did not like his most recent movie. I was disappointed in the ending
Trap?
of that movie. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as everybody else did. Miranda did. Has he gotten any new respect recently? Does the industry still hate him? He makes money and entertains people. Why is there still the stigma against him and his movies?
Oh, I mean, the stigma was because he became so big so quickly, and that his shtick really was about the big twist and making the twist bigger every movie until it got to the point like, wait, that's the twist. And people started getting, really like, can you just make a straight narrative? Just show us a beginning, a middle, and end. You don't have to shock us in the last 5 minutes that we were watching something else. And he programmed everybody to watch his movies in a certain way, and they weren't enjoying that. And that's where that stigma came from. And then he did move away from that. There are still twists in some of his movies, but not all of them. You didn't watch Trap and then, find out that he was on an alien ship the whole time. Like it was a straight movie. And so I think the thing with Hollywood is Hollywood's really kind of come around on him in that he funds his own movies and he makes his own movies his way. And whether you like them or not, he's doing his own thing, and you got to respect that. He could have taken his money and run and be, living on an island in Greece. And instead he's out there using that money to make movies with his daughter. And, that's kind of cool. Like, you could say what you want. Like, people have gone after him for putting his daughter in his movie, but he wanted to make a movie with his daughter, and he did, and people liked it.
She was good too. She was
part.
She was great as a pop star, and she was really good at with the family at the end. And if anything, he gave us Josh Hartnett back. So
yes.
We are in the middle of the Hartnett.
I'm grateful.
By the way,
as an elder millennial, I am very grateful to have Josh Hartnett back in our world.
By the way, there's a movie nobody has seen that is a Josh Hartnett movie. You can VOD it tonight. Highly recommend it, called Fight or Flight, in which it is essentially John Wick on a plane, but Josh Hartnett is the John Wick. And it's
is this newer?
Yeah, it just came out a few months ago.
I was going to say, I feel like I heard about this. Yeah.
It's super fun. It got screwed over in just a weird business sort of way where one region released it early, so it was already leaked online. So film festivals wouldn't host it, and then they couldn't get a big premiere, and it just kind of got dropped. But it is, if you love Josh Hartnett, watching Josh Hartnett punch people and hit them with chainsaws for 90 minutes is pure joy.
And I loved him as a bad guy. It was great.
Yeah, I love him. Is there anything else, any movie you want us to go see? Movie like that?
Besides the Black Phone 2. Go see that.
Other than we already I saw Black Phone 2 already, but like anything that you think isn't getting enough attention, you want more love like that.
Or what's coming up, because I know Osgood Perkins has something coming out next month. So what's good that's coming up we should be keeping our eyes.
And do you think we should see, but is it Begonia? Is that how you say it?
Begonia?
Is that how you say it? The new Emma Stone movie?
Yeah. Okay, so there's three different questions
Clemens,
there. Begonia was not my thing. Some people will really like it.
Okay.
It's not so much a horror film.
And Dime I Love. I want
a drama comedy. And so it's very well made. My discussions with it are post-spoiler discussions, so I won't spoil anything for you guys. But it's definitely worth seeing. It's definitely worth seeing for Jesse Plemons' performance.
He's incredible.
If you loved him in Civil War, you're gonna love the hell out of him here. He's great, and of course Emma Stone is always great. In terms of what's in theaters right now, there is a great movie out there that is so up both your alleys. It's called Shelby Oaks. It is
I've heard of this. Yeah.
It's made by director Chris Stuckman, who got started as a YouTube film critic. So he came up behind me as a film critic who became a filmmaker. The first 20 minutes of the movie starts off as a found footage movie, and then it moves into being a full-on horror movie after you watch the found footage.
It's like the girl's sister is missing and they need to go try to figure out how to find her, right?
Yep. A bunch of YouTubers go out into the woods and vanish, and her sister it won't let it go and is trying to find her, and a tape shows up and has information on it, and then we're just going nuts. And it is scary. There's a jump scare in it that had my wife, who doesn't get scared, jump out of her seat. Yeah, you're laughing because you know how unflappable Jess
tough.
is.
Yeah,
and
I was
she
like,
jumped and she walked out buzzing after that movie. She's like, that movie was so good. I loved it. It's in theaters right now. Neon put it out, as you mentioned earlier, Megan. Great movie. The Osgood Perkins movie coming up. I've heard lots of great things. The guy who produced Sinister also produced that. And The Monkey back to back for Osgood. Osgood is one of the strongest, most interesting voices in horror right now. He made The Monkey earlier this year, which I love. And if you've not watched The Monkey, you should watch The Monkey.
Twins, so good.
He's also a horror movie. I mean, royalty, even his dad. Yeah. I swear to God, this is my last question for you. I loved Eddington. I think I'm the only person that saw Eddington, Ben and I thought it was so well done. I really love Ari Aster movies. That movie just bombed. Like, it was terrible. I was so sad that no one liked it. Did you see it? And can people please continue to give Ari Aster money? Because I really enjoy all his movies.
Streaming November 14th. On HBO
Miranda
Max.
didn't fucking see it.
I tried, dude.
Members of my team.
I even emailed A24 to send me a link, and they wouldn't because it was in theaters. But I had 2 children, and as they only showed it at 10:30 at night, I tried so hard.
He doesn't care. He's a filmmaker. He's like, go to the movies. Anyway,
send me a fucking link, man. Send me a screener, dude.
Get a babysitter. Spend the $80 for a babysitter for a night.
Oh my God, Cargill! I have 3 jobs.
No. So yes, I have seen Eddington. I like Eddington. I did not expect to like Eddington. I understand why nobody saw it. You know, nobody wanted to watch a pandemic movie 5 years after the pandemic. Like, it just felt too real, too like that opening scene when he walks into the supermarket and people are arguing about wearing masks. Just like it, you have that flashback, and it's
people
like, oh God, I remember being in that supermarket having that argument with a guy standing behind me because he's coughing over my shoulder. Like, please, for the love of God, put on your mask. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I think one of the other problems is Ari. Most people don't know Ari's full history. Ari is at his heart a dark comedy filmmaker, and he had this great idea for a horror movie that turned into Hereditary. He had a great idea for a second horror movie that was Midsommar, and now everybody's like, "Oh, you're a horror filmmaker," and he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm those movies were comedies," and because he sees them as comedies. Everything that's over the top, that's like, oh, that's ridiculous, it's supposed to be ridiculous. In fact, his short films used to go to one of the festivals that I frequent every year, and every year they would talk about this guy who'd send in movies that they don't understand. Like, they're like, is this supposed to be funny? I don't know. And then once, you know, Hereditary and Midsommar came out, they're like, oh, it was Ari Aster, and yeah, they're supposed to be funny. That we were supposed to be laughing at that. We were not. It was not bad. It was intentional. Like, and because he makes movies that make you uncomfortable, and that's what.
So I cannot feel bad that I laughed when her head flew off at the telephone pole, because I did laugh.
Oh
I did laugh.
You're supposed
and then I felt like a huge
funny.
Asshole about it, but I laughed my ass off when that happened.
I mean, it's very much like, I think people can understand it better now. Like when you watch the ending of Weapons and how ridiculous the ending of Weapons is, and you're laughing, and the audience is laughing, and you're like, oh, this is okay. We're supposed to be laughing. Like, this is. Ari Aster was absolutely daring you to laugh at a little girl losing her head on a telephone pole.
It's like, so funny.
Are they going to give him more money
crazy
to make movies?
I think so. The thing is that regardless, like, say what you will, that movie came out 6 months ago, and we're still talking about it on a radio show. So I mean,
How long ago did Hereditary come out? That
yeah, 2017.
dinner monologue from Toni Collette is a huge TikTok meme right now.
Yeah.
I am your mother and all of that stuff.
He's
It's hysterical.
Ari's going to be part of the conversation for a while, and it also helps that even like his previous movie, Scorsese took him around and was like, oh, this movie's brilliant. Beau is Afraid, like, and so when you've got Martin Scorsese going around saying this guy's a genius, someone's going to give him money. So yeah, we've got a couple more Ari Aster movies in the future.
Okay, good. Because I really am like, please give him money. I'm the only one that saw it.
Yeah,
Cargill, thank you so much for your time and getting up early. And congratulations on all of your very intense, amazing success. Everyone go see Black Phone 2. You can follow Cargill on Blue Sky. See robertcargill.bluesky.social or Instagram, Massaworm. You're not really a Twitter person anymore. So,
I got locked out of Twitter.
Oh, good. Well, okay. Well, then he's not at all. Never mind. And I miss you, and I hope I can see you in person soon. And please give all my love to your incredible wife, Jess, and all your friends. And really, just thank you so much for your time today, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Good to see you, Cargill.
All right, guys, that's our show. Happy Halloween to everyone. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place on Monday. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.